Let's move on to Ethereum and see what sort of analysis we can get from there. We have a little bit more data we can take when looking at Ethereum because we can compare it to past cycles of Bitcoin. So predicting the price of Ethereum for this cycle. Again, we want to look back at the timeframes of our cycles, which we know, again, from the green lines here, we're looking at around 25 October top for the cycle. If we were to hit that, let's move over to the ETH chart and put ETH on the regression channel as well. So again, this is a channel that shows network-based technologies growth. It's the same for Apple, Amazon, etc. And if we chart down our October 2025 top for the cycle, then what we're seeing here is a potential, if we go back to trend line for Ethereum, we hit about 21,000 for ETH by 2025 in October. If we go one standard deviation over bought, then we get up to 65,000. That would be pretty crazy. And if we just stay along the trend, which we're currently on, which is one standard deviation oversold, then we are looking at about a $7,500 ETH, which wouldn't be too much higher than it was last cycle. We hit about 5,000 last cycle. So there's just some quick numbers of looking at just the regression channel, same as we did for Bitcoin. Now, some other interesting areas that we can look at is looking at the price structure of ETH versus Bitcoin. So this was last cycle. If we compare Bitcoin from 2013 to 2016 to ETH in 2017, 2020, it tracked it quite well. And so meaning this was sort of Bitcoin's first cycle versus ETH's first cycle. It had a very same price structure. Numbers obviously a little bit different because they have different tokens, amount of tokens, and so the prices will be different. That's fine. But in terms of the price action, it's almost identical, which is quite interesting. So then what we can do is if we look at Bitcoin in its second cycle versus ETH from 2020 to today, so ETH's second cycle, also a somewhat similar price action in terms of just how high it went, almost the exact same level when you're on a chart there comparing. And then this was taken a couple months ago, but basically reaching kind of the same point here of entering into its sort of next cycle. And so then what we can do here is if we look at, well, what did Bitcoin do in its third cycle versus what could Ethereum do in its third cycle, matching that price because it is quite similar. This would bring Ethereum up to a little over 15,000, about $16,000 per ETH, if it just followed what Bitcoin has done, which is a nice metric, I think, to look at because it's just that we've already seen a crypto asset do it, a crypto asset that is known as, digital money. Ethereum has also sort of picked up the narrative of money with its triple point asset thesis. And so you could think of something with monetary premium that's digital, pristine collateral as, potentially doing something similar, just seeing as it's followed its price action from the previous cycles. And so potentially we could see a very similar thing play out. Now, maybe it's higher, maybe it's lower, I'm not sure. Ethereum is definitely a different asset than Bitcoin. Ethereum is a smart contract platform that has apps and L2s building on it, whereas Bitcoin was just sort of money. So in that sense, I think it probably goes higher, but who knows? But again, just a nice comparison to look at there. Another thing that we can look at is market caps. So again, ETH and Bitcoin tends to follow each other, somewhat similar on market caps. And last cycle, Bitcoin hit about a $1.2 trillion market cap, 1.25. ETH hit a $560 billion market cap. So if ETH doubled from its last, which would put it at about 10K, it would reach the same sort of market cap as Bitcoin, be a little bit over that, probably be around 11K to reach the same as Bitcoin did. So again, if we're just comparing to past, that could be something that we could see. Again, that puts ETH around the 10, 11K range for the top of this cycle. Same as we did for Bitcoin with the dominance, we can do this for Ethereum as well. So up on the chart here, I have the ETH dominance versus the total crypto market cap. Now, this one, we don't have as many data points. So I don't take this one with a lot of confidence by any means, but we've had two sort of cycle tops that we could see where Ethereum was a 25% of the total crypto market cap. And then in the last cycle, Ethereum hit about 22%. And so let's assume, again, just playing around with the trend here, I've got a blue trend line down. Let's say we hit 20% of total crypto market cap for Ethereum in October 2025. If we just hit trend line of the crypto market cap, that would give Ethereum a $26.4 thousand mark for Ethereum at the top of the cycle. If we were to hit one standard deviation over bought, which again, that would be up here, ETH would then be a 58,000 per ETH. And then if we were one standard deviation oversold, then ETH would hit 11,000.8 per ETH. So again, not a perfect metric by any means, but somewhat useful for us to get some predictions here. And by the way, I'm doing the math. I have it from a report that I wrote. I'm not doing this in my head as we record here, but the ranges we have here for ETH would be by October 2025, a low of 8.5 to around 16K. That would be anywhere from a 1.5x from past all-time highs to about a little over a 3x from past all-time highs. The mid-range for ETH around 19K to 26K, and then the high would be 58 to 88,000 per ETH. So again, the high seems a bit ridiculous to me, just like I thought it was with Bitcoin as well. But I do think that the low or the mid, so somewhere around 10 to 25K for me seems to be pretty reasonable for ETH to hit. I don't think that's that big of a gain, or just based off past cycles, we've seen those sort of gains before. We've already seen a gain like that at this high of market cap in Bitcoin last cycle, so I don't see why Ethereum couldn't do the same. But obviously, who knows? But a good starting point nonetheless.